Hi, Kim Torrance here, and this is a segment, another segment of the rest of yoga. Um, and today I wanted to talk about change, making changes in your life. I'd say the last few weeks, maybe a couple months ago, actually, I decided I wanted to make a change. And I knew I wanted to stick with it because it was going to be important to me for my psyche to be able to stick with this change, this resolution, this habit that I wanted to create. And essentially, the change was motivated because I was uncomfortable. It's usually what happens, right? I get uncomfortable and I was like, okay, something's got to change. And so I make that decision to change. And then there are processes. And I wanted to talk a little bit about the process because I felt like once I started to look at the process in which, for me, how to make those changes, it became pretty simple and apparent to not going back to old habits. And so once I decide, okay, this needs to change. Basically, change is about burning down your house, right? Some old habit you want to change, and then you want to replace it with something else. So the idea for me is I don't want to burn down that house until I have a new place to go, like a nicer, better, like an upgrade, right? Someplace I want to go. So I think about what's my current situation? And then what does it look like where I want to go, right? This is basically asking myself, okay, what do I want? Now, what's going to get me there? And those habits, right, I start to create things that are going to get me to the place that I want to be, the person that I want to be. And then to make sure that I continue moving into that direction, I need to have leverage. So I look at my life and say, okay, if I do this, I get this. If I go back to that, this is what's going to happen. A lot of times for my life to really solidify that change, the leverage for me is my kids, right? Who's the person that I want to be for my children, right? What is the example that I want to show them? I've got teenagers, so I know exactly how much talking works. Talking doesn't work with them. But what does work is if I behave in a manner that exemplifies the thing that I want to teach them, right? So once I find that leverage, that means I'm not looking back, right? And then I start to interrupt the patterns that would take me back there and then start to really solidify the habits that are getting me to go in the other direction, the place where I want to go. And I make a ritual of it. I'm, try to self-motivate myself. If it's something that requires like getting out of bed early, then it's something I'll add to that. That's sweet. That gets me, that motivates me to get out of bed, even if the end product is not so fun to think about. Like you're still in bed. Like, okay, well, I need to do this. I need to go and do this exercise. Hey, you know what I need to do first is I'll go and walk the dog because that's something that I really enjoy doing. And then I'm already moving, and then I'm already moving in that direction to do whatever the habit is I want to create. And then you're starting to really anchor those habits in your life. And then once I anchor those habits in my life, I continue that by empowering those. There's an empowering meaning behind that. Essentially, the best way I know how to explain that is what I was telling my daughter the other day, in that I'd like to behave in the matter in which I deserve to behave, right? The person I deserve to be, right? You could get petty, and you could be revengeful, you could all of that, but is that really the person you deserve to be? Maybe not. This idea that I created, the house that I was building, it's like it's going to house my higher self. And so who is my higher self? What would be the habits? What are the behaviors of my higher self? And then every time I work in that manner, every time I create a habit that gets me closer to being that person, I sleep really well at night. And that continues to fortify, it anchors those decisions that I make. Anyway, I found this to be really helpful in keeping me motivated when I'm making changes in my life. And if you have things, that work for you, leave me a message. Leave me a comment to let me know what works for you. I'd love to hear from you. Hope you have a great day.